What is up, dudes? Lady dudes, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. My name's John, and Savage Strike full set list is here, and I'll be doing a little set list review, going through the entire set, rarity by rarity, until we get to the end there, and then I'm going to give my overall impressions of the set as a whole and what I think, how I think this set kind of stacks up to sets we've seen in the near past. So let's go ahead and get started with the commons. That's probably the best way. We're just going to work our way up from common, rare, super, ultra, secret, all the way. So, as far as the commons go, we start with Cache Eve level 2, and we have Salamangreat, Wolvie, Paro, and Foxer. We have Neospace Connector, the reprint for that. The TG Booster Raptor, TG Tank Grub, because the TG's got support in this set here. Guard Dragon, Justicio, Garmedes, and Promenesis. Shiranui Swordmaster, Orcus Nightmare, Prank Kids Roxy's the reprint for that card as well. Psychic Tracker, the second half of our secret rare Psychic Wielder. Spoiler for when we get there. Cataclysmic Scorching Sunburner, Squirt Squid, Aloof Lupine, Extra Ceratops, Shiranui Swordmaster, Shiranui Squire Saga, Cyber's Integrator, Cyber's Wicked, Update Jammer, Clock Lizard, Shiranui Style Solemnity, Incantation Inception, Unisong Tuning, Edge of the Ring, Child's Play, Summon Over, Guard Dragon Core Awakening, Shiranui Style Success, Orchestrator Release, Subterra Succession, Lost Time, Time Thief Winder, Bezel Ship Regulator, Redoer, Hack, and Flyback, Cyber's Converter, Legendary Secret of the Sixth Samurai, Subterra Guru, Performapal Clay Breaker, Super Armored Robot Armed Black Iron Sea, Shiranui Necro, and Red Rising Dragon. Wow. That is the list of all the commons. Don't worry, all the rest of the list are going to be less than half of that at minimum. So, when I look at commons, and this is like a hard thing to judge, when you look at a set as a whole, like the common list, it's a 100 card set. There's 50 different commons. It's hard to look at a whole set of commons and be like, these commons are great, or these commons are poop. You know what I mean? Because, like, when a set has, like, a set's going to have good cards and a set's going to have bad cards. The worst cards in the set are always going to be put in the commons. It just is how it is. Why are they going to print, poop cards in higher rarity? So I think the way I like to look at commons in a set from, like, a general standpoint is, do they have a couple redeeming commons, right? That's what I'm looking for. Is, like, are there a couple commons that, if you are opening sealed product of this and you're opening packs, maybe you open it up and you get like a kind of weak super rare, you know what I mean, that you're not really looking for. You get, one of the Neospatian Elemental Hero cards, and you're like, I don't really build those, so this is like a bad pack for me. Maybe there could be a couple commons in that same pack where you're like, oh, okay, this actually helps the pack be a little more acceptable to me. Like, I wanted these cards anyway. And that's what I look for in the commons. And as far as that goes, looking at this list, there's a couple here that do stand out to me, which is good. Salamangreat Foxer, I believe that is not a staple necessarily in Salamangreats, but it is a card that I have seen in a couple deck lists. It's not a for sure you have to play it though. If you're building TGs, obviously both the TG cards are very important. The Guard Dragon's not really that important, I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive on this, but I'm fairly certain that in Guard Dragon builds, the most competitive Guard Dragon builds we're going to see probably don't even include the main deck Guard Dragons. You're just taking advantage of the extra deck Guard Dragons and doing combos with those and other more powerful dragon archetypes that can spam the board. We do have Orcus Nightmare. That's a very, very important card for when the Orcus support drops in Dark Neostorm, and that deck will be very, very relevant around that time. Psychic Tracker, the second half of Psychic Wielder, very good level 3 support for Burning Abyss. Aloof Lupine, where we just saw Goldstar get hit on the ban list, but this card literally like replaces it as a really powerful normal summon for Thunder Dragons. So this card is very, very relevant for competitive usage. Update Jammer is part of like this card plus. What is the which one is that? One of the code talkers, X Code Talker, I'm pretty sure. They created like a two monster like OTK combo, update jammer and him, which is pretty cool. Incantation Inception, that's the ritual card for incantations. We could see rituals become very relevant in the near future. Other than that, the Time Thieves are a very cool new TCG archetype. That's a huge part of this, of the commons, is them making the commons way more interesting, because that is a very interesting archetype and could be good in the future. Super generic, rank 4 support. And then other than that, Sub-Tier Guru, a huge part of the Sub-Tier strategy, finally making them playable and hopefully competitive. And then other than that, the last card here is Shinobi Necro, a pretty solid, zombie support card generically. So, like, literally, just reading off that was what, over 10? Over 10 of these were, like, actually, like, like almost any player would want these. I mean, if you're just looking for generic stuff, some of it specific to, actual competitive strategies, some of them for specific other strategies, but I think there are some really redeeming commons here. So I do like the common list of this set. Then we move to the rares. We've got Cyber Synchron, Speed Burst Dragon, Rocket Synchron, TG Screw Serpent, Guard Dragon Andrake, World Legacy World Arc, Madolche Petingsasor, Lapis Dragon, Incantation Chalice Slime, that's a hard one to say, Salamangreat Violet Chimera, Hyper Psychic Riser, Detonate Deleter, Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, Heat to the Fire Charmer, Ablaze, Fusion of Fire, Trickstar Fusion, Guard Dragon Shield, Guard Dragon Cataclysm, Dark Factory of More Production, and Apple of Enlightenment. Same thing with commons. Rares are going to be in every pack with like the higher rarity cards, but so sometimes you're just looking for one that can help redeem a pack, because when you open a pack, a lot of times people just look at the secret rares, ultra rares, and super rares. Whatever the one you pull, you're just like, was it a good one or was it poop? But also, like, these other, the rares and the commons go in there too, and they're kind of can help you redeem certain packs should you not pull a higher end of the higher rarity cards. So as far as these go, the ones that kind of catch my eyes, Madolche Petingsasor. This is a huge card. This card literally immediately makes Madolches not meta but relevant, where you need to keep an eye out for him, because that's a very powerful engine that can explode in one turn, so you need to be careful of that. Incantation Chalice Slime, just like the incantation card in the commons, that support is just getting more and more generic for rituals and getting them more and more ready to go. Also, Necros stuff just came off the ban list. We have Necros reprints in dual power, so rituals in general coming out swinging. Salamangreat Violet Chimera. This card is very powerful OTK pusher that not every Salamangreat deck plays, but I have seen some people that believe that you should. Hyper Psychic Riser, an interesting generic level 6 synchro monster. Not broken, but it does have an interesting floodgate effect that can hinder specific decks. Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. This card is like literally the number one rare here. This card is the most important like link monster in all of Salamangreats. Like, this card is huge that we have this here. It's actually lower rarity. People thought this might have been a secret rare. So I mean, for those budget players, they're gonna be screaming that is actually a rare. So that's really cool. Heat to the Fire Charmer, a interesting generic Link 2 monster that helps revive fire monsters from the grave, from your opponent's grave specifically. Fusion of Fire, a card that is another Salamangreat card to help you summon Salamangreat Violet Chimera. And other than that, nothing really else that really catches my eye. I mean, the Guard Dragon stuff, but it's more like main deck Guard Dragon stuff, and it's not the good cards. The extra cards are the really interesting ones for that. But there's another couple rares here that are pretty solid. Some of them are specific to what archetype you're trying to build, like Madolche, Incantation, Salamangreats. It is a little focused on, depending on what you're trying to build, it may not really have use to you. So I will say that there's nothing really generically amazing in the rares, but what are you gonna do? Whoa. Anyway, so move to the super rares here. We have Shiranui Spectral Sword Shade, Shiranui Squire, Thunderclap Monk, Trickstar Band Sweet Guitar, Elemental Hero Brave Neos, Elemental Hero Cosmos Neos, Guard Dragon Elpie, Guard Dragon Pisty, Guard Dragon Agripane, Sky Striker Ace Kaina, Neos Fusion Next, Fateful Hour, and Valkyrie Vierte. So, as far as these go, these are super rare, so these are finally into the higher rarity cards. We have some Shiranui stuff, but that's probably literally the most least interesting of all the super rares. Thunderclap Monk is an interesting Thunder King Ryo-esque card, level 4 Thunder, that does have a negation effect and a little floodgate effect as well. But he's not as good as Thunder King Ryo, so interesting, but not amazing, but maybe interesting in the fact that maybe if there was ever like a Ties of the Brethren Thunder King Ryo stun variant, this would be interesting for that. If you are a Neospatian / Elemental Hero lover, there is some interesting support here. It's nothing crazy, it's not going to break them, but it does help the archetype. I mean, all support is welcome when you love it. So there's that specific to them. Trickstar Band Sweet Guitar, not a very good, I mean, it's like just not that good straight up, and you're not trying to play like, you know, Trickstar Fusion in a Trickstar build. It's just extra stuff that you don't need to be playing in your deck because it's not really worth to me. Guard Dragons. This is probably the biggest part right here. These 4 cards are the 3 Guard Dragons, which are huge because I've already heard some spicy things about what Guard Dragons can do as like a combo deck. Pretty much just special summoning dragons straight from the deck and making huge boards with these guys. And not to mention Sky Striker Ace Kaina. It's easily the worst of the 4 Link monsters, but it's not useless. And especially if, just like in the OCG, if we see Kagari get hit on the ban list, this card maybe goes to 2 in their extra deck to help fill that void of Kagari and have like other outlets and more versatility in your extra deck because you need to play the deck differently. So Kaina, definitely keep your eye on. I think every Sky Striker player should at least have 2 copies of this card waiting in the wings, even if they don't play it now. And then Valkyrie Verte. I mean, we've seen this archetype. It's a very beloved archetype by a lot of anime lovers. The deck has not been that good since it came out, but it's interesting, and these cards definitely help, so might as well. Then we have the ultra rares here. So ultra rares go as follows. We've got Danger Agapogo, Borreload Savage Dragon, Cyber's Quantum Dragon, TG Star Guardian, Trickstar Divaritas, Shiranui Skill Saga Supremacy, World Legacy Guard Dragon, Ghost meets Girl, a Shiranui story. Jeez, long name. Final Light, and Trickstar Carabane. So the important ultra rares here. So obviously, number 1 ultra rare here, by far, not even close, is Borreload Savage Dragon. It's an incredibly powerful generic rank 8. It might actually be the most, not rank 8, level 8 synchro. I mean, it might be the most powerful generic level 8 synchro in the game now. Cyber's Quantum Dragon, also a very solid generic level 7 synchro monster. Danger Agapogo, not a very good danger monster. Maybe we'll see play in a specific build, but it's not very good as a whole for what dangers do. It just doesn't mesh with the archetype, which is good. I mean, dangers didn't need any more powerful cards because they're already so dang strong as is. The TG support, I mean, we've said it before. For Trickstars, we do have the Divaritas and Carabane. I don't think Divaritas is that relevant because it can only be made with 2 level 3 or lower Trickstars, and a lot of time, especially now, we're going to be using a lot of Candina and Carabane, so those don't work with that. But Carabane is huge. Carabane might actually be, outside of Borreload and Quantum Dragon, might be the most impressive or interesting card here. Trickstar is a meta-relevant deck. It's not top tier, but it is right on the cusp, and this could help. We just saw Thunder Dragons, its worst matchup, get hit on the ban list pretty hard, and now they get Carabane, which helps them get over Guard Dragons. I know they can still protect themselves, but at least on their turn, if they're going into the battle phase, you can protect a Trickstar monster like that. So really, really helpful card for the archetype, really helpful with power, and what one of the Trickstar's greatest weaknesses is, being bigger monsters. Other than that, nothing super interesting. I guess World Legacy Guard Dragons is like a reborn card for dragons, but like Return of the Dragon Lords is like way better than this card. Yeah, that's mostly it for ultra rares. Just okay couple there, only like really 3 or 4. So I would say the ultra rares are pretty underwhelming to me, if I'm judging them. And then let's move to the secret rares. So as far as the secret rares go, we have Fantastical Dragon Fantasma, Psychic Wielder, TG Trident Launcher, Trickstar Live Stage, Pot of Extravagance, Witch's Strike, Super Anti-Kaiju, War Machine, Mecha Thunder King, and Valkyrie Seshte. Alright, so let's start with Valkyrie Seshte. Start from the bottom, work our way up. This is just another Valkyrie card, kind of with Verte, where they're interesting, they're very helpful for the archetype, and where it's been so far, because the support they got originally is like not very good, so they did need like a lot of support cards. This is the start, maybe we'll see more for them in the future, but this should help for now. It's not going to make them amazing, but if you do love that archetype, it works. Kind of same thing with TG Trident Launcher and Trickstar Live Stage. If you are building those archetypes, these cards are great for you. But outside of those players, nobody else is going to want those cards. That's the thing. That's the thing when you put like archetype-specific cards in like the high rarity slots. It only appeals to those players. Every other player is going to be like, I don't give a shit. I want the Pot of Extravagance. I want the Fantasma. As far as the Anti-Kaiju card goes, it's a little bit too specific for me. We did see Slumber come off the ban list completely, so maybe we will see Kaijus make a big return in this format, especially with Strikers going around and stuff. So we could see Kaijus make a big comeback, in which maybe this card becomes a little more viable, but it's so specific. Like, you need to control a Kaiju your opponent controls, or your opponent owns. So it's just too reliant on what your opponent is doing, and if your opponent doesn't play Kaijus, then this card doesn't do anything. Then Witch's Strike, Witch's Strike is one of those cards that like may have one of the highest ceilings we've ever seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! This card literally wipes your opponent's entire field and their entire hand all at once, but again, just like the Anti-Kaiju, it's reliant on what your opponent does. If your opponent doesn't play a deck that really sets up negates, then this card is never resolvable. Plus it's a trap, so if you went second, this card's going to be really hard to resolve like that. So it's just like super meh to me. Maybe we will see formats where this card can be super applicable in punishing certain decks if we do have a negate heavy format specifically, but for right now it's this, and maybe you'd want to pick them up for now, just for the future if that format ever does roll around and this card is relevant. But for now it's just too specific in a non-negate heavy format to me. Then we have literally the best card in probably the entire set is Pot of Extravagance. This is just a phenomenal pot card. It's probably going to be the most desired card in the set, the most expensive card in the set. This is like the shining, this and Fantasma are probably the two shining stars of this entire set. They're the chase cards, no doubt about it. They're both generic, they're both great. Hopefully they're not too expensive. Then we see Trickstar Live Stage again. We already said this about, it's just too specific to Trickstars. If you're a Trickstar player, great. You may want one or two copies of this. If not, you don't give a fuck. Same thing with TG Trident Launcher. If you're trying to build TGs, scoop this card up. If not, you're gonna be pissed if this is your secret rare. And then Psychic Wielder. So Psychic Wielder is actually interesting because it is relevant to a like meta deck at least. And same thing with Trickstar. I mean, Trickstar at least is you know, meta relevant. So that live stage, if it's actually good, is interesting. But if it's not, then terrible. Psychic Wielder, though, is very interesting for Burning Abyss. It actually is a decent, you know, level 3 spamming card like that, especially combined with the other one. What's the other one? Psychic Tracker. Yeah. They both make for an interesting little level 3, you know, spam engine. I mean, I don't even know if I'd call it an engine. They don't actually provide you more resources, but kind of seems weird. This card doesn't really feel like a secret rare to me. This card feels more like a super rare, and they totally could have bumped up something else, something better. I don't know what they would have bumped up, but this card didn't really feel like a secret rare to me. It's still a good card, especially for Burning Abyss, but I don't know, just doesn't feel amazing there. And then the last card is Fantastical Dragon Fantasma. Like I said, this card and Pot of Extravagance are the two shining stars of the entire set. They're the best generic, other than like Borlo Savage Dragon, they're like the best generic just overall cards in the set. And yeah, they're just great. I mean, obviously it's matchup specific whether or not this card would be like really applicable, but I mean most matchup it is. So overall, looking at the set, I think the set is actually weirdly bottom heavy. Like literally looking at the secret rares, like Pot of Extravagance and Fantasma, those are like the only two like really good secret rares that like every player opening the set is gonna want. And I was hoping that there would be one or two more like really good ones, but there's only those two really, and then some of them are okay, and some of them are bad. For the ultra rares, it's like Borlode Savage Dragon. If you're a Trickstar player, Trickstar Carabane, Cyber's Quantum Dragon, and then nothing else unless you're a specific player to, you know, the specific archetypes. Would have liked to see one or two more good ones there. Super rares, Guard Dragons are cool. Sky Striker Kaina is cool. Other than that, nothing really that great unless you're like an Elemental Hero player. So, you know, it's just like a lot of archetype-specific cards, and maybe this is just in every set, and I'm just being picky, and I want more generic support, but would have liked a little more super rares. But then there's like a good amount of rares, we already talked about those, and a good amount of commons. So it's like a weirdly bottom-heavy set. And there's a couple cards at the top, but weirdly bottom-heavy. There's a lot of good cards in the commons, a lot of good cards in the rares. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of cards in both of those are like easily over $1, which usually doesn't happen for commons in big sets like this. But overall, I think the set's fine. I think in terms of the cards that come out, we have a good amount of just cards that are going to be relevant via the meta. You know, Sky Striker support, Trickstar support, Subtears, you know, Extravagance kind of supporting, Altergeist pretty heavily and stuff. There's a couple good amount of cards here that are going to be relevant meta wise. There's a new archetype in Time Thieves. There's a lot of good support for the archetypes that did get supported in this set. And yeah, I think get ready for Salamangrates. This is the beginning of that. We'll see that in like 2 weeks. That deck will be exploding onto the scene. I think the set's okay, pretty good. I think it's like probably on the same stage as like Soul Fusion. Soul Fusion was pretty good, not amazing. I did think Savage Strike looked pretty good at the beginning, and that's kind of where it ended up. It's not amazing. It's not a busted set. It's not dual power. But it's not terrible. It's better than a good amount of the sets that came out in 2018. And almost every other set other than Soul Fusion, I would say, it competes with pretty heavily and has a good chance to be better than those. Hopefully, we see, I don't know, just more sets that are pretty good. I definitely want stuff that's at least as good as this set. Better, obviously, would be better, but hopefully we're at least around this or more. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about this set as a whole. Do you think this set stinks? Do you think the secret rares are poo? Like opening sets. See, that's the problem, right? When you judge it like this, you got to judge stuff on secret rares, because when people buy a box, they're trying to earn back that box. And if you don't pull an Extravagance or a Fantasma, you're probably not paying for your box in terms of the products you ended up pulling. So that's like the big problem here, is that there's only 2 cards that even help get you like solid value back. As far as like the big cards, there are some other cards that can help me. Borlode Savage Dragon is like $20. There are some other, you know, $20 cards that help work your way up there, but you're hoping to get those high end cards to help really pay the box off, or at least get a multiple of those to, you know, add up to it. But that looks like it could be a little tough here, especially since we're going to assume that Extravagance and Fantasma at least are short printed. But there you go, guys. There's the set review for Savage Strike. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the set's good, bad? Do you think it's not worth buying? I think singles are probably more worth buying. Even of Extravagance, if you got to pay $180, $200 for a playset, it honestly is probably better chances of doing that than spending less money on a box and getting 3. Or boxes and getting 3 of those. It's like not going to happen. So I honestly think singles are the way to go, but still, I don't think it's the worst set to buy sealed product of there, guys. But that's what I think about Savage Strike. I'm going to get the hell out of here, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening and pay attention to the channel. I'm going to get the hell out of here. Peace.